Here's your host, Bill Lasky.
Welcome into a Friday edition of Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. And the Giants come home, and they were hot. They won the last two games in Atlanta, really swinging the bats. They had 23 runs in Atlanta, 32 hits. On the road trip where they were 2-4, 9 home runs. The bats were coming alive. The New York Mets came to town after winning 5 straight. They swept the Angels for 3. They took the last game against the Reds. And they were tied in Philadelphia, with Philadelphia in the National League East for first place. This team can hit, no question about that. They're top hitters. If you looked at what happened today, when you look at Nimmo, Lindor, and Soto, 7 for 15, a home run and 2 doubles. That's what tells you the whole story. And now you got to look at what's going on with the San Francisco Giants. Today, earlier, Landon Roop went on the IL with a sore elbow. He's out for 2 weeks. And now we got a question mark, Logan Webb. His last 3 outings have not been Logan Webb-ish. When you look at the numbers for 3 games against the LA Dodgers before the All-Star game, Toronto when he went up in Toronto after the All-Star break, and now against the New York Mets. 15 in the third innings, 25 hits, 16 earned runs. He's given up 3 home runs, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts, and he's 0-3. He's now 9-8 with a 3.38 earned run average. And before those 3 starts, he had a 2.6. So you can almost see an entire point on his earned run average. What is going on with Logan Webb? Is he missing pitches? Is he giving balls up in the zone? I think what's happening is I think teams are seeing that he gets the ball over first, second strike, and they're laying out for it. Today, right off the bat, Nimmo comes up, hits a double, screaming over Ramos's head in left field. Leadoff double, 1-1 pitch. Then Francisco Lindor gets a base hit. It's first and third. Lindor steals second base. Now it's second and third, nobody out in the first inning. And we've always known Logan has had some difficulties in the first inning, but they were just ambushing his pitches. The slider and the sweeper seem like they're sliding. They're not breaking hard. The sinker's coming in, but it's not getting that last dip. The cross-seam fastball, he gave up a home run to Lindor later in the game. His 4-pitch mix, he's trying to use as much as he can. Today he had 81 pitches, 33 sinkers, 28 changeups, 13 sweepers. And you just see what's going on with Logan Webb. Could he be getting tired? 131 2/3 innings coming into tonight's game, and he only got 4 innings in as his pitch count went to 81 pitches. They really pushed him out in that 4th inning with 2 base hits and a walk. He had loaded the bases up. He got a ground ball by Taylor. But then again, Nimmo coming up and get a nice base hit to left center field. And the innings just continued to go down south for Logan Webb. 6 runs, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts on the line for Logan Webb. And I think it is a concern for Giants fans as well as the pitching staff without a full 5-man rotation. With Hayden Birdsong going down, they never fill that spot. Now with Landon Roop going out, we don't know what's going to happen Sunday. They're saying it's a bullpen game. Bob Melvin said TBA, to be announced. So they really don't know if they'll bring up a starter from AAA or not. But then they go right back into Monday without a starting pitcher. So you got back-to-back games. Verlander will probably throw Tuesday on his 5-day start. And then you have Logan Webb coming back on Wednesday. So you just got to find out what's going to happen here with the pitching staff. I really believe the pitching staff is going to feel this because when you look at what the bullpen had to do today, again, Tristan Beck coming up right after he got sent down because he had pitched a few innings. He has just been lights out. When you look at what Tristan's done, Toronto, he went 4 1/3 innings, only giving up 1 hit. Atlanta, an inning and a third, no hits. Today, he goes 2 innings, no hits. In his last 3 appearances out of the bullpen, Tristan Beck, 7 2/3 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Could he be that starter? Could he get in there and throw 2 or 3 innings? Also, Carson Seymour, who had started 15 games in AAA, could also be a starter. So there are some arms, and you also have a couple of extra arms down in AAA. Carson Wisenhunt, the number 2 prospect, is probably one of them, but he's not on the 40-man roster. And here's a name for you, Kai Wei Tang. We've seen him in the bullpen last year. This year, he has been fabulous. He's been starting down there as well as relieving. The velocity's up. The breaking ball is sharp. So we might see one or two of those guys coming up to fill these starting spots. There's a lot of questions going on now with this starting rotation. So we'll find out what the Giants do here as we get through this weekend. A 6-game homestand, losing the first game 8-1. You end up throwing 4 bullpen arms today. 3 of them threw really exceptional. When you look at Tristan Beck, what I just said, Matt Gage, Spencer Bivens, all 4 of them, 3 of them threw 4 innings of shutout ball. Camilo Duvall came in, got a little wild, hit a guy, and gave up a double and then a base hit that kind of was strange because Soto hit it and hit the rubber on top of the mound and bounced into center field. It was still struck pretty hard, so Camilo Duvall gives up 2 earned runs. On the hitting side, you start scratching your head again. I keep scratching my head a lot this year because this team is playing so inconsistent. I threw those numbers out, 32 hits in Atlanta, and there was some guys that really got hot on this road trip. When you look at Devers, he was 10 for 26, 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. Willie Adames, 8 for 22 on this road trip with 2 home runs. Ramos, 8 for 23. Chapman, 7 for 22. Those are the core guys that continue to try to get this team back in scoring runs and getting hits. But then you got the rest of them. Yaz was 2 for 15 on that road trip. Matos, 2 for 11. Flores, 3 for 11. Those numbers just can't match up. Casey Schmidt's another one that's been getting opportunities to play second base. He was 4 for 21 on that road trip. So some guys have to get hot in this lineup, and they have to do some damage to get some run support, especially now when you're down 2 starters in this rotation. So a lot of question marks coming through this homestand, 3 against the Mets, 3 against the Pirates. Then they go on the road, and they play the Mets and the Pirates. So we're going to get tired of the NL East in the next 12 games. Let's get to the phone lines. 415-808-KNBR. We'll take a quick break here. I'm Bill Lasky. This is Sports Phone KNBR. Let's talk some Giants baseball here. The Giants now are 54-50. So they've played 104 games. So, less than 60 games left in this season. Can they hold on and get in this wild card? Those are all question marks as this team is struggling a little bit in the starting in the pitchers. All right, we'll take a quick break, come back here on Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
2-2. That one is lined into center field. That's another hit. And that'll score 2. Alvarez in. Here comes the throw. It's going to be late. It comes home. But Taylor scores, so the steal by Taylor turns into a run. And it's 6-1 Mets. This is the second start in a row where Logan Webb is just getting knocked around. Not used to seeing this.
And it's just a tough stretch for him. I think, just like a hitter, sometimes you go through periods where, you go through a slump, you don't feel great, your command's not as good, and you give up some hits. And this is a team that's been playing pretty well, and they can swing the bat.
Back on Sports Phone on a Friday night with Bill Lasky, Bob Melvin talking about Logan Webb. The last 3 starts have been brutal. 15 in the third innings, 25 hits, 16 earned runs. And I was looking on some post-game clips. Logan Webb was disturbed. He was upset. He says, I'm getting paid and I need to pitch better. Too many balls over the plate. Too many balls that are hittable. And he's right. There's no question there. Usually he's on the edge. He usually elevates once in a while. The cutter, he hasn't been throwing a cutter much lately. Didn't throw any cutters today. And, these are things that you go through, but you don't see it out of Logan Webb. He's been so consistent. That was his 22nd start on the year. Going into the game, 131 and 2/3 innings, 130 hits. A lot of innings, 29 walks only, 140 strikeouts. The numbers are good, and that's after a couple bad outings. He'll get it together. We know that, and it's just the point that now with the starting rotation, down 2 starters, every inning, every game is going to be important for Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, and Justin Verlander, and we're going to figure out what the Giants are going to do in these other 2 starting spots. You can't just keep going back to the starter out of the bullpen. You don't want to go back to that. I think they have enough, a couple pitchers down in AAA. And you also have the trade deadline coming up. There's some pitchers that could possibly fit in here. Mitch Keller from the Pirates, one Seth Logo from Kansas City, who used to pitch with the San Diego Padres. Charlie Morton. There's some guys that could fit. But again, is what are you going to give up for these guys? What do some of these teams want for a good starting pitcher? They're going to look. There's no question. There's the Giants, they know what they're behind the 8 ball here, chasing to get in the wild card, and 54 and 54 games over 500. Good positive things, yes. Some negative things now are adding on in the starting pitching, and I think that's one concern. All right, let's get to the phone lines, 415-808-KNBR if you want to talk to me on Sports Phone tonight. Let's go to John. He's in South City. John, you're on Sports Phone on a Friday night. Tough loss, first game of a homestand.
It is, Bill. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing good. Coming out of Atlanta, I thought maybe they'd be hitting the ball better, and then they start off the game with a couple of key hits, a base hit and a double. I'm like, okay, let's get back in this game. But after that, it was flushed right down the toilet.
Bill, I absolutely 100% agree with that. I mean, I thought in the first inning, it's like, all right, we're down 2-1, and I'm saying to myself, we're right back in this ball game. You got a chance to tie the game. I mean,
right? Even 2-1, John. I was like, okay, then Logan Webb goes out and gets a nice clean inning. I'm like, all right, let's get back into the things. And then it just transferred to 2 innings where they had a couple opportunities with runners on. They just couldn't do it again. Another 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and that has to be better. The clutch hits got to come.
I absolutely agree. They got to do a better job with runners scoring positions. That's the main problem is you can't leave runners on base and keep big game situations at home in your home stand. And as we approach the trade deadline, you brought up about the starting pitcher. Yeah, you need a starting pitcher now with Group on the IL. And we can't just do bullpen games. You can't do that. Bullpen games is not good.
And do you put pressure on a guy like Carson Wisenhunt, who's a number 2 prospect, who's really just getting the feet under him as a starting pitcher? Do you put pressure on him like you did with Hayden Birdsong, another young pitcher? Do you give him that opportunity? Kaiwei Tang's another one that's a pretty good pitcher, but again, coming up in the big leagues when he was here, he got hit pretty hard. He's got some new pitches. He's throwing the ball better. He's not on a 40-man roster. They got to clear spots for both of those guys.
You're absolutely right, Bill. One thing I want to bring up about is Birdsong is I felt like he was rushed earlier this season. I felt like he got rushed to get on the roster this year.
Well, they put him in a bullpen.
That's the
I
problem.
don't know if that was a smart move. It was good in the beginning because he never pitched out of the bullpen. I don't know if it would have been better just starting him in AAA and getting some good smoke behind him, getting some good outings, and then pushing him up here. But he pitched so damn well in spring training. I think that's why J.P. Martinez and Bob Melvin says we want to keep him up here. It just didn't work out when he bounced back into the rotation. I think he put more pressure on himself.
I felt like he did. I know on Monday's game he lost the velocity of his command.
Everything.
Do you think?
It was sad. I was sad.
Yeah, everything.
I was sad. Weren't you sad for him? I was just looking at him, and
I
just
felt
bad
bad
for him because he was trying so hard and nothing was happening, trying different pitches. A couple pitches were squeezed. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0 on the first three hitters, and I was like, wow, this kid's lost. And, you know, I did the post-game show, and I just said the focus wasn't there. And I think that whole game, if you remember the first game in Atlanta, the whole focus on the team wasn't there. That was one of the worst games defensively, offensively, and pitching they did.
You're absolutely right. As we approach the trade deadline, Bill, do you see like another power hitter or a starting pitcher or relief pitcher by chance?
I think a starting pitcher, maybe a left-handed bullpen arm, but, you know, they're getting good. Lucchese's been pitching well. This Gage has been pitching pretty well. I don't know if that's their number one priority now. I think they need to get a starting pitcher. They don't have. They got 2 spots open now.
You're absolutely right, Bill. We'll find out tomorrow if Robbie Ray can end this, the Mets' win streak tomorrow. I mean,
well, they have to tomorrow.
back.
Tomorrow's a big start when you think about it. Tomorrow's a big start for Robbie Ray. He has to go deep in the game. They haven't had a starter go deep in the game since the All-Star break. So this is going to be important for him to get out there and get some good rhythm going. But you know what? You'll game to game now, and we'll find out more, though. Thanks for the call, John. I appreciate it on a Friday night. Let's go out to Marin and talk to Mike. Mike, you're on a Sports Phone Friday night with Bill Lasky. A first game back, I thought I'd see a little bit better baseball out of him, but I didn't.
Not at all. I'm worried, too. I'm worried about the roster. And when you say Robbie, it's a big start for Robbie Ray, you're right, because he didn't look all that great the last time. And in my opinion, he's tired. He might even have some arm problems. Logan Webb is hurting. Roop is done. Like you said, we have 2 open spots. I think, if Ray doesn't do well tomorrow, we might have 4 open spots, and that one spot is and our best pitcher is going to be Verlander. So, and now I'm wondering about the offense because we got, Yaz is out there all the time with Bailey, and we had Wade before. I mean, whoever put this offense together, this roster, this is not working. This is not working
the
at all.
inconsistencies,
I don't care.
That's the whole thing, Mike. They've had hot streaks. We've seen Yaz get hot, but the cold streaks are adding up. The rollovers and the pop-ups. Bailey's coming back a little bit, hitting 210. But how many months was he under 200? The offense on that road trip, like I said, in Atlanta, they had 23 runs in 3 games, and they were mashing the ball. The pitching just wasn't there the first game, and especially in Toronto. 11 hits, no runs in the first game back. I think the offense is waking up. I think some of these guys are making better contact, hitting the ball better. We're seeing a little bit better out of Devers. Willie Adames is hitting the ball. Chapman's starting. But we need other players. We need Casey Schmidt to come back. Casey Schmidt has not been hitting the ball that well. Jung-Hoo Lee a little bit here and there. But you need a roster to do that. When you look at the Mets have top 5 hitters that are just mashers. And the other ones behind it get on, but they're hurting too. It's just you got to get the meat of the order out of that Mets lineup out. And it was tough tonight when you look at the top 3 hitters going 7 for 13.
I think, you're right. You got these free agents that aren't really producing. We got stagnant lefties like Yaz and Bailey. And, Buster put this thing together. And, it's not going to work. It doesn't matter what he does at the trade line. We're only 4 games from going to 500. In my opinion, this season is cooked. We're finished,
well,
dude. I don't think we should do anything.
Don't forget, you're only a game out of the wild card, so you still have a chance of getting a wild card. You're not in last place. So you are 54 and 50, but, when you're looking at the Dodgers, you're 7 behind the Dodgers. You're not going to catch the Dodgers, but if you can stay in the hunt to get the wild card, that's the key. you got, 104 games left. You still got a little less than 60 to get going, but every game is going to be important. And you play the Mets for 3 here, you play the Pirates, then you go to play New York, and New York is one of the hottest teams at home. They play extremely well at home. They're 37-16, similar to how Toronto did when they went up to Toronto.
I don't know, Bill. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I
it's
think
okay,
our only
Mike.
prayer is
Just
that
be
we
positive. Don't go too far down in the dumps here. We'll get it going here. This Giants team's not going to give up. But thanks for the call. Let's go to San Francisco and talk to Don. Don, you're on a Friday night sports phone with Bill Lasky. How you doing tonight?
I'm so frustrated for the past 6 games. They lost 6 straight. Since they won the 2 games in Atlanta, when they come back, it's like they're going back to the same old drawing board. You know what I mean?
Yeah, today was
You understand
frustrating
what I'm
to
saying?
me because they had a couple opportunities, Don, in that 5th inning with 1st and 2nd, nobody out. In the 6th inning after Jung-Hoo Lee got that double, they had 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs, and it just couldn't get that clutch hit. And Don, you've been talking to me about this all year, the runners in scoring position. You get so upset about it, and they just can't get that hit.
I don't know what the hell is going on. Hey, Bill, let me ask you a personal question. I'm getting sick of excuses right now. What I see, but I don't know what I'm seeing. I'm just tired of excuses now.
Well,
I don't know
if it's
happen,
excuses. I just think we're just not getting those clutch hits where other teams do. I mean, this New York Mets team, they won their 60th game, and when you look at their top 5 hitters, Don, they're all big time professional hitters. A lot of money sunk in these guys, and when you look at Nemo, Lindor, Soto, Alonso, those guys are all mashers. You start looking at RBIs. All 5 of them. When you look at even the top 4, 57 RBIs for Nemo. And he got 2 today, so he's at 59. Lindor had 57. He got 1 today. Soto, who's really having not a great year, he had 59 RBIs. He had 2. He's at 61. Alonso's got 80 RBIs. When you look at the Giants side, Wilmer's got 59. Devers has 73. And that's really the high numbers for this team. So you can see the opposition coming in here and how good they are leading the NL East. And then you got to look at the Giants that can't get those clutch hits and clutch RBIs.
I wish they could find some way to get them. We need some good people on this team can get us some clutch hits.
I'm right there with you, Don. Thanks for the call, though. Appreciate it, Don. I always love talking to you. Don gives it from the heart. That's what I love when I talk to Don. You can hear it in his voice. You can hear the frustration. But when they win, you hear a whole different voice from Don when he calls in. But I think Don really talks about it from a frustrated Giants fan. We all want this team to do better. We want this team to compete. We want this team to win. And when you lose games like this, when they come off a good 2-game win streak against Atlanta, they have the day off, you're thinking, hey, the momentum's going to get going right in Friday. The first 2 guys get hits. You're starting to come back. And then it just went Debbie Downer from there. For 8 straight innings, they just could not score again. And they got 9 hits. That's great, but only 1 run, and they just couldn't come back to battle against the New York Mets. We're going to take a quick break here on Sports Phone KNBR. Got a few more calls to get to, and I'm going to talk to my buddy Dave Tobner from the SF Gate. He'll join me later in the show. I'm Bill Lasky. We'll be right back right here on Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Delivers. Swing and a gentle half swing. Roller back toward the mound. Holmes off the mound, throws in the dirt to first. It's dug out with a backhand grab by Alonso to get the out. Man, that was a sinker that ran right in on Wilmer, and a very awkward looking swing to end the inning.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the last two. I mean, sometimes you're going to go through some stretches, where the guys are on you a little bit. Got on them early, was better in the second, and then scored some runs on them again. So, I mean, it's never going to be the same all the time. Just a tough stretch for him right now.
All right, back on Sports Phone Friday night with Bill Lasky. Giants lose the first game of a 3-game series against the New York Mets, an 8-1 at Oracle on Orange Friday. 8 runs, 10 hits for the Mets. 1 run, 9 hits for the San Francisco Giants. Tomorrow, first pitch, 6:05. All-Star Robbie Ray against All-Star Dave Peterson. Robbie Ray 9-4 with a 2.9 earned run average. Dave Peterson 6-4 with a 2.9 earned run average. Join me as I'm doing the warm-up show tomorrow, starting at 3 o'clock. Got a great show lined up. Shayna Rubin from the San Francisco Chronicle. We'll talk to her about some of the things that she found out in the post-game today. She also went on the road trip, and always a great conversation. Mark Abani is Channel 2 sports director who's retired. Love to get his insight. I also sat down with Kevin Mitchell, who started his career with the New York Mets. Had a great little conversation about Mitch and all the different things he did. And I caught up today with Oscar Bernard. He's the third hitting coach with the San Francisco Giants, along with David Miner and Pat Burrow, and we talked some great things about hitting. So you want to tune in at 3 o'clock tomorrow. I take you to the pregame show. Of course, it's a Giants warm-up show starting at 3 o'clock. And then after, extra inning postgame show, Carson Seymour joined me today. Had a nice conversation with him. He'll have a nice interview tomorrow on a postgame show. And then my good friend Ed Lynch. Ed pitched against me with the Mets and the Cubs. He was also a general manager with the Chicago Cubs, and he also was a power scout. I mean, a power scout, an MLB scout for 17 years. And we talk a lot about pitching and some of the things that are happening, how pitching has changed. So some great interviews tomorrow. Hope you enjoy them. And starting off tomorrow, 3 o'clock, you can catch me right here on KNBR for the warm-up show. And then after the game, with an extra inning post-game show. All right, let's go to Steve up in Bend, Oregon. Steve, you're on KNBR with Bill Lasky on a Friday. How's it going up there?
Bill, I got to ask you to talk to Kevin Mitchell about that barehanded catch against San Diego.
No, you know what I really I dialed in with him was Mets days, because he came up and he struggled. He struggled coming off the streets in San Diego, and he talks about it. And we got into some great conversation. It's a great interview. Of course, after the interview's over, you can always hear it on the podcast, KNBR podcast. But, Kevin and I go back all the way back when he was in AAA pitching for Tidewater, and I was pitching in AAA. And we had some battles, and we laughed about a couple things we did, and we brought up some other players that were tough hitters with the Mets. But he came up in a situation where Keith Hernandez, Ray Knight kind of took him under their wing and protected them in New York
Mets.
City. Yeah, we talk a lot about that. So it's a great interview, and I love talking to Mitch. Mitch tells it like it is.
Yeah, look forward to hearing it. So Mets, man, they're a well-balanced team. I mean, they really are. That Lindor home run was just
on his hands.
a
He
thing
missed
of beauty.
location on that.
Hate to admit it.
He did. If you look on it, Bailey's sitting outside, and that cross-seamer came in on his hands, but he still hit the hell out of it. That ball's on his hands. And Lindor, when you're looking at his numbers, 20 home runs, 58 RBIs. He was in a stretch there, Steve, where he was 0 for 31 at one time. And now all of a sudden he's starting to hit the ball a lot better.
Getting hot against the Giants. Webb again continues to be ambushed. I don't know, man. I think it's his changeup. He can't get that dang changeup over. It's and then he goes back to the sinker, and the sinker's up. And they're ambushing him, and he can't control that changeup. And with
the changeup too. One thing about the changeup, Steve. Just one quick thought of mine.
Yeah.
He's getting it through, but it's low, and they're watching it. They're taking it where before they were rolling it over or swinging on it, and that's where all those advanced analytics show what he pitches and different pitches. And today, I thought the Mets were reading him real well.
Yeah. Don't you wish you had AI when you pitched?
I wish I had analytics when I pitched. Any of that. You could get, I mean, I had an ex-baseball player up there drinking beer scouting when I got my scouting reports. It was nothing like it was now.
So what do you think now with Roop out? Are we going back to openers like maybe Chesty opening, then Beck, then Sean Jelly, then Rodriguez?
You might see that
Rogers,
Sunday. Carson Seymour is about the only guy that he started 15 times in AAA. He might get the start and see if he can go length 3-4 innings. I would think he'd probably get. But then you got to go right back into Monday with the same thing because you don't have a starter for Monday because that's where Birdsong was.
You know what's hurting too is I'm really sad to see Yaz, man. He's back. He's 2 for 21. And, they need this guy to get hot. He's just got to make contact. I don't know, I don't know what he needs to, drive the ball. But he's back to pop-ups and ground-outs. And, I just don't know what to think
swinging over the breaking ball and swinging at the elevated fastball, all the things that we keep seeing. He's a streaky hitter. You hear it all the time. Kruk and Kipe talk about it. Dave and John talk about it. Streaky hitters go through it. Bob Melvin talked about Logan Webb going through some hard times in his last 3 starts. But it seems these guys are needed at this time of the year, and the production isn't there, and that's why you're seeing some of these guys faltering, and the microscope is on them. You see it, Steve. You're looking at numbers like I am, and you're just like, wow, man, he's got to get better, and he's struggling.
Would you say that the Mets were better prepared for this game than the Giants? I mean, they knew about Webb's inability to hold runners on. They stole at will on him. It was not at all against Bailey.
Yeah, and a couple of them. I mean, he was still in his stretch, and they were, running 2-3 steps out of it. When you're looking at the secondary leads, they were taking off. They had 82 stolen bases coming into the night, and they had 3 of them today. So they're at 85. Giants only have 46. So you can see how they get in scoring position. And I talked it earlier, the clutch guys come up with that hit, or they come up with that sac fly, or they get the guy over. The Giants seem, when they get in these situations with runners in scoring position, they clutch up, they strike out, or pop up on the infield. That's where I wish they could get better at.
They looked bad against the Braves, but they came back with 2 strong wins. So let's see what happens this series, huh?
I'm right there with you, Steve, and Robbie Ray's going to have to get some length tomorrow. I think that's a big, big game for him. But thanks for the call, Steve. It's a pleasure always talking to you. Let's go to Keith in Merced. Keith, you're on the Late Night Friday Sports Phone with Bill Lasky. A tough first-game loss, 6-game homestand. What'd you think?
Bill, and it's frustrating watching him. It is. And he can't. It's not lack of effort. They seem like they're really pressing to get guys on, and it's like everybody else is talking tonight. Pop up. It's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And they had 9 strikeouts again, Keith.
Yeah.
And I always look at the strikeouts. They only had 1 walk. In Toronto, they had no walks for 3 games. They're usually, watching pitches. I think when they get behind, they're swinging too early instead of taking more pitches to try to get deep in the zone. They had Clay Holmes on the rocks. They had that. They had him, 1 pitch away if they would have come up with a nice hit. And their bullpen today, they just threw guys that needed an inning. And end up Rico Garcia, who was an ex-Giant, 2 shutout innings with 3 punch-outs, and they didn't even touch Rico. He pitched a little bit for the Giants, but you look at teams like this, and you're just like, okay, once you get the starter out, let's do some damage with the bullpen. But the bullpen shut them down.
They had the pitch count going high in that first inning. I mean, when they got that 1 run back, and they were just like 1 clutch hit away from it. I really thought they could have gotten out of that first inning with no runs. That ball that was hit, that Lindor hit, I'll be honest with you, and I hate pointing a finger, but I think Ramos catches that ball. He should have caught that ball.
Oh, the line drive Nemo hit. Nemo hit that at first.
Yeah, he took a bad route on that ball. I mean, he just point fingers.
Were you at the game, Keith? Were you at the game?
I was at the game.
So okay, that's why I'm asking you, because on television it looked like the ball was smoked over his head. I could not tell the route. So you're telling me he missed the route again?
Took a bad route, which is sad. I mean, and Webb, that's a big difference right there. He could have gotten out of that inning maybe with no runs. I mean,
yeah. And that's been the trouble. That's been the trouble both with the starting pitchers. Robbie Ray also, that first inning is a clunker for him. If they don't come out and get those first 3 outs, it seems like they're throwing 20 to 25 pitches. And both starting pitchers had trouble in the first inning.
What they're not doing, I think, and I'm sure this has been said before, the Giants don't hit at Oracle Park like they should. It seems to me like the games I've gone to this year, they're trying to lift and separate, going from gap to gap. That ballpark is not built for home runs, and it just seems to me like
it's a different mindset, though, Keith. The mindset is different on hitters than it was, 10 years ago when you clutched up, you choked up, you went the opposite way. These guys are grinding. They want to see leverage. They want to hit gapped balls. They want to hit home runs. That's the new theory of how hitting is now. And I think as we move into the new era of hitting and baseball, we have to look at it that way and not just look at it, let's get a guy over, move him on, moving over like before. They don't do that as much anymore. Bob Melvin's done a couple of them hitting runs and butting a guy over, but really when these guys are coming up, they are looking for damage, Keith. They're trying to drive the ball out of the yard.
I'm old school like that. I got one more thing. 1982. 1982. They're one streak away. Remember that? You played on that team. That 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
I remember going to those games. I loved that team. And they're one
That was a fun 10-game win streak too. That 10-game win streak was tough, man. We ended up beating Houston, and Houston came in. We swept Houston. Ron Pruitt got that base hit to center field, and the place went crazy. That was fun. That was a fun year. That was my rookie year.
I was at Dodger Stadium, and you guys had Darrell Evans starting at shortstop on the night on one of the games I saw.
We did.
So we had a patchwork.
We went down there and we swept them too, Keith, if you remember that. We swept the Dodgers 3 straight games in that 10-game win streak.
That's right. I remember that.
Yep. Good memories right there, Keith. But thanks for the call. Appreciate your time. Let's go to James in Clovis. James, my last call tonight. How are you?
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Well, I think all the callers are kind of frustrated. I mean, we saw 2 good games in Atlanta where they pounded the ball. They're really the 3-game series, 23 runs. And I think today in that first inning, I think all Giants fans were seeing the same thing that could have happened, and they did. It's just they had opportunities. They didn't score, and I think the lead just over-evaporated this team. They couldn't come back, and I think that was the big problem tonight.
And it's kind of funny you say that. It's kind of a repeat record as you go back into. So I'm one of the guys that usually after like mid-June, kind of miss out on a lot of games going through July, pick up again, this time of year into August and next,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to kind of get back into it. And granted to you, I kind of didn't know your history and everything. And I was actually born your sophomore year. I was born, but I appreciate everything that you do for the game and everything, and the post game. But one thing I wanted to bring up with the Devers, man, it's one of the things. Devers, excuse me, I said it wrong.
Devers, that's okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Him and Yastrzemski, I think 6 a.m. tomorrow morning should be on the Sprinter van because I believe it's a 6:05 game. At 6 a.m., they should be on the Sprinter van, not the Jet. And I think Sacramento might have an afternoon game. And you might need to at least take a trip to Sacramento and see where they could possibly be at. And as a school hard knocks.
James, that's pretty hard, though. Don't you think that's hard on them?
We
that's
talk about
pretty
old
hard.
School, and you old school, but that's the leadership in the locker room, and the oldest ones that are.
Well, it is, and I understand it, but and you're talking just like hitters are. Some hitters are high, some hitters are low. You go through streaks on and off. You just said it. You watch games here, You kind of flip over in August. So if you're watching 162 games, you are going to see the flows of these guys. And back in my day, they used to be.
We're seeing a pattern.
Yeah, but you know what, James? They used to say back in my day, it's like riding a surfboard. One wave's going to get you farther, and the next one's going to fall short. So you have to give this team a little ways to get back. Go ahead.
No, I 100% agree with you. But, just a simple, 6 a.m. wake-up call to drive an hour and a half, 3-hour drive back and, reset. This could be where you could be here soon, Put a little
I don't think that's going to happen.
We got to ruffle the feathers a little bit.
Let's just find a winning attitude, and let's get on a roll here. And I think that's what Giants fans want to think. But thanks for calling, James. I appreciate it. All right, coming up next, I'm going to talk to Dave Tobner. Of course, he writes for the SF Gate. Get a little insight of what he's doing and seeing what he knows if there's anybody that could be possibly on the trade deadline. We'll get some information from Dave next, right here on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. We'll be right back on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Now he swings and lines one down the right field line. That's in there, base hit. It bounces into the second archway. Coming around to third base is Ramos. And going into second with a stand-up double is Rafael Devers. Delivers. Swing and a ground ball to third. Breaking for the plate is Ramos, and then the ball is juggled at third by Mauricio. Now the throw to first, and he still gets Adames over there. The Giants are on the board. It's 2-1 New York. That was a ground ball that got the run home, but Devers had to hold on at second with the ball being right in front of him.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR on a Friday here in John Miller as the Giants lose the first game of a 3-game series against the New York Mets, and then the Pittsburgh Pirates come in for 3 games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And Giants fans, we miss Paul Skees. He'll be throwing Sunday against the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right, let's bring in my buddy Dave Tobner. He writes for the SF Gate, writes really good stuff. Love reading your stuff. Let's bring in Dave. Good evening, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing good, Bill. Thanks for having me. We always seem to talk.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on late nights. Late nights always tough, but you know, a lot of things happened before the game today with Landon Roop going on the IL, and 2 spots in the rotation are now open. Dave, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, you know, the Roop news kind of came out of nowhere because he's been pitching so well, but you kind of got the feeling that they might want to, you know, limit his innings just because this is the most he's ever thrown, and now, you know, they really have no choice. And you're always a little nervous when you hear about elbow inflammation, and even if they say he's only going to miss a couple of starts, that's not something that you want to mess around with. So I think starting pitching just shot up to the top of their wish list at the trade deadline if they're going to be buyers. And you know, Posey's given no indication that he's not going to buy. So I think starting pitching is all of a sudden their most pressing need, more so than anything on offense, anything in the bullpen. They've got a lot of innings to find now.
I threw a couple names out there, and I'm sure you've heard them because they're in trade rumors. Mitch Keller from the Pittsburgh Pirates is one guy that Toronto Blue Jays are courting. Seth Lugo's the other one from the Kansas City Royals that I think that's a possibility with a guy that used to pitch for the Padres, a veteran guy. Charlie Morton, if he's got anything left. A couple people that, you know, a couple pitchers that could fit that role. Do you see any of those really jumping in here?
You know, it's all going to depend on cost, because I don't think, you know, I know that they've said they're open to trading anyone, but you have to imagine that Eldridge is off limits, and you know, guys like that. So it really depends on if it's a seller's market, because if it is, the prices are going to go up. So I'm looking at guys that maybe have another, you know, guys like Merrill Kelly with Arizona, and Arizona looks like they're going to be sellers now. Guys that maybe won't cost as much, but don't have to be top of the rotation guys, can just be guys that are going to be at the, you know, 4th and 5th spots to eat some innings and keep them in games and get them to the bullpen. Guys that aren't going to cost an arm and a leg. And unfortunately, like Lugo and guys you mentioned, everybody's going to be after them, and they're probably going to be able to name their price. And I just don't know, you know, if the Giants are in that mode. They're definitely buyers, but I think they might be more cautious buyers than anything with the way they've been playing lately.
And, you know, the biggest question, Dave, since the All-Star break, you haven't had a starter go deep in any games. I mean, you're going 5 innings of that, and I think that's a big concern when you look at J.P. Martinez, Bob Melvin, when you're looking at a rotation that got you into the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings, and now you're really pushing these guys to try to get 5. Tristan Beck has just really come in cleaning up real well, and you just can't continue to keep throwing guys out there and hoping that they can put 3 zeros on the board for 2 or 3 innings.
You know, especially tonight when you have your ace going, you expect to at least get 6 out of him. And, you know, unfortunately, Webb's just had his struggles, and, you know, he seems to go through this every year. He has a stretch where he just can't find himself. So it's really not too worrisome, but it does put a lot of stress on the rotation. And, you know, Ray and Verlander and Birdsong couldn't get it done. So they all of a sudden, what had been such a strength of the team is just a huge question mark now. So they've got a lot of work to do. I mean, they're still right in the hunt for the wild card, but if they really want to push, they need to make an addition there. There's really not a lot of help coming from Sacramento, so it's something that they're going to have to look outside the organization for. And unfortunately, they're not the only ones shopping.
You're absolutely right. Dave Tobmer joining me. Of course, you can read his work at SF Gate. You start looking at this team, and you see how well they did the last 2 games in Atlanta. Really, all 3 games they hit the ball well. 23 runs, 32 hits. Guys mashing the ball. Devers has a great road trip. We're finally seeing him do what we think he can do as a 280 lifetime hitter. But then you look at the other guys struggling, Dave. You look at a Yaz. You look at a Matos who's getting some playing time. Casey Schmidt's not hitting the ball like he was. Patrick Bailey's been that issue for most of the season. What can the Giants do to kind of get a little boost from some of these guys?
Yeah, they have a team of professional hitters in the middle of their lineup, and they just can't seem to all get everybody going at the same time. It's just been an issue all year. But like you said, there's a lot of black holes in the lineup. Corner outfield, Ramos is doing fine. Defensively is another story, but in right field with Matos and with Yaz, and like you said with Schmidt, there's a lot of question marks, and I'm sure they'll be looking for another bat if they can find one. They might have to make some hard decisions with the roster moving forward, and Devers is pretty much locked in at first base and DH, so that kind of limits what kind of bat you can go after. But if there's a corner outfielder out there that could definitely help, they don't need to make a huge addition. I mean, they did that with Devers. They're just waiting for him to kind of come around. But definitely some support up and down the lineup would help. And you'd like to get that ideally from your own system, but it just isn't working out right now. And another thing that they're going to have to look outside the organization for, it sure seems like.
Dave, a batter, Jung-Hoo Lee, I think he's got his swing pass so different than when we first saw him come up where he sprayed the ball. Today he hit that one down the left field line. But he's swinging so hard. He thinks he's going to put one in the cove. I don't think he's a home run hitter. I'd rather see him cut his swing down and hit the ball on the ground and see if he can beat some of those out. I loved what he did with that outside pitch. Like I just said, he hit that ball down the left field line. I think that's what we'd want to see more of him than swinging so hard. His helmet falls off. Sometimes he looks like he's going to fall over because he swings so hard.
I think the worst thing that happened to him was that game at Yankee Stadium. Ever since then, it seems like he's just, like you said, he's just swinging so hard and just trying to elevate the ball instead of spraying it around. And like you said, he's not a home run hitter. I mean, he might run into 10 to 15 a year, but he's not a 20, 25 home run guy. And I don't think that's what the Giants envisioned when they signed him. I think they envisioned a high on base guy that can spray the ball around, go gap to gap, take advantage of right center, and really use his athleticism on the base paths and his ability to spray the ball around. So it's interesting that they haven't. I mean, maybe we don't know what they're doing, what they're telling him before, what Pat Burrell or Damon Minor are telling these guys, but he just hasn't made the adjustment. He hit those, I'm sure you remember that game he had at Yankee Stadium where he just hit those 2 blasts, and it hasn't been the same since. It's like he's a different player, and they could really use him to get, he's not a middle of the order hitter. He should be at the top of the lineup, ideally, and they just haven't been able to put him there just because he can't get on base.
Yeah, on the road trip, Bob put him on there. I think it was the 3rd game in Toronto where they let him off, and then he had him again in Atlanta. I'd like him as a leadoff hitter if he would just cut his swing down and make contact. The strikeouts are mounting the fly balls. I just get so tired of the fly balls because he swings so damn hard. And I think both of us agree. If he cuts his swing down and goes for base hits and put the ball on the ground, I think that's the big objective that we'd love to see Jung-Hoo Lee do.
He's not a power hitter. He's a gap to gap guy. He's a guy that you want, ideally, like you said, hitting line drives into the gap. He's not a guy that needs to elevate the ball every time he swings. And he'll run into a couple, but it's just not. Oracle Park is tough on left-handers, even for left-handers with power. So if you're a left-hander that's not a power hitter and you're trying to be, it's going to be even tougher. So he's a talented player, and we saw what he can do in the beginning of the year, but it's something that he really needs to get back to. I think it would help the offense up and down the lineup if he was more playing to his strengths when he was batting instead of trying to hit the ball out every time. It just, like you said, every hit, everything he swings at is a fly ball out, and it's a little tiresome.
Dave Tobner joining me for a few more minutes on the Sports Phone KNBR show on a Friday. Defense, of course, we're seeing some sloppy defense. We saw it last Monday. And I think the big guy in left field, Elliot Ramos, is just struggling out there, taking bad routes. One of the callers said he thought he took a bad route on the first ball that Nemo hit on television. You couldn't really tell. The ball was hit pretty hard. But it seems like he's the guy everybody's picking on. He's made some bobo plays. Missing that ball with Jung-Hoo Lee when it dropped in Atlanta in the Monday game when everybody really made a lot of errors. Throwing the ball to the wrong bases. What can happen with Elliot Ramos here? How can he get back on the right page?
Yeah, I saw that first ball today, and on TV it didn't look like it was much he could do. It looked like it just kind of took off on him. But, he's, like you said, some bad routes, just almost, I hate to use the word lazy because, ball players aren't, it's not a word that you throw around lightly.
Right.
But it sure seems like a lack of focus in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other night he just kind of casually tossed the ball in and it cost him an extra base. And, things like that, taking bad routes to balls. And, he's not this bad of a defender. He's perfectly adequate, or he has been up until, very recently. And really the Giants have won multiple World Series with perfectly adequate defense in left field. I mean, we had Pat Burrell out there. You had Travis Ishikawa was playing left field. For, you don't need to be a Gold Glove out there to win, but I mean, you have to at least be able to get every ball that comes to you. And I said the other day on X that any ball that has any kind of doubt to it that hit to left field now, it's just you have no confidence that he's going to get to it. So you almost wonder, if it's not something he can turn around, is he destined to be a DH? And if he is destined to be a DH, that's trouble because the Giants have Devers, who, is going to play first base and DH, and they really don't have the roster flexibility for that kind of player. So, it's something that you want to see him turn around because he's a good hitter. He's a homegrown guy. You always want to root for the guys that come out of your system, and he's young enough to put the work in to turn it around, and he's shown that he can do it. So it's just, it seems like a mental thing to me more than anything. Just something that you kind of have to get over. And, guys can get in their own heads when things start to go bad. So it's, you hope he doesn't get the yips out there, but he definitely has some room to grow, that's for sure. But, they need him to get back to being adequate because they just don't have a spot for him if he's not.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. As we finish up with Dave Tobner, Dave, trade market coming up. What do you think the Giants are going to do? Buyers, sellers? Do you think they're going to do both? Do you think they're going to maybe get a starting pitcher, which they need? Who's on your wish list?
Well, I don't think they're built to sell. They don't have a lot of pieces to sell. They seem to be built to contend, and whether that's for a wild card or for a division, the Dodgers aren't running away with the West right now, so it's not like they're out of contention. Even though they've been, really uneven the last few months, they're still right there, and the third wild card helps a lot. I think adding, $250 million in salary with Devers shows that they're really trying to make it this year, and I don't think Posey is going to sell lightly. I mean, it could be they lose 6 in a row, 7 in a row, and that changes things completely. But as long as they're within, 2 or 3 games, 4 games of a wild card spot, I think they're going to buy. I don't think they're going to go crazy. I think they made their big move with Devers. But I think if they could find, like we were talking about, a guy that can eat some innings in the rotation, take some pressure off these young guys, if Birdsong can't find his way in Sacramento, that's probably the highest on their wish list, I would say now, especially with the injury to Rupp. Any kind of offense would be great. It's hard to say who's out there because there's so many teams that are still in contention because of the expanded playoffs. So You know, take advantage of teams that are, you know, they made their big move already. So it's kind of you know, not so big moves just to kind of supplement the rest of the roster. But I would say they're going to buy. I think they're going to look for another starter, maybe two if they can find one, an outfield bat, probably no one that's going to be, you know, a difference maker, but someone that can at least give them a little more consistency. That would be my guess.
Well, we'll find out soon because it's going to start getting heavy here next week, and we'll find out what the Giants do. Buster Posey as well as Bob Melvin and all the rest of them. You know, they had some heavy meetings yesterday and that day off, Dave, so we'll find out what happens. But I think the Landon Roop really opens a door for another starting pitcher. But I always appreciate your time and your information, and you do a great job at SF Gate.
I appreciate it, Bill. And next time I talk to you, I hope we're talking after a win. I only talk to you after losses, it seems like. So, you know, maybe
I was telling my producer that too, Dave. I get these producers during the week, and Jacob, I think we're 0-8. I get, Dave, I'm on Jacob. We got to get a win here sooner or later. So, same with you, Dave. We're 0-2, but maybe we'll get one sooner or later. But, hey, thanks for your time on a Friday night. It's great, Dave. Thank you. That was Dave Tomer. Of course, you can read his work at SF Gate. He follows the Giants. There's a lot of great stuff at SF Gate, some great writers over there, and Dave's one of them. But I appreciate his time on a Friday. All right, we're going to close it out tomorrow, 6:05. Robbie Ray takes the hill against David Peterson. Robbie Ray, 9-4, 2.9 earned run average. David Peterson, another left-hander. Giants are struggling, 10-17 against left-handers to see if they can do something and do some damage quick against David Peterson. He's 6-4 with a 2.9 earned run average. Join me on the warm-up show. I'll be getting you ready for the game at 3 p.m. tomorrow right here on KNBR. I'll do the warm-up show. Shayna Rubin, Mark Abanias, Kevin Mitchell, and Oscar Bernard are all my guests for the warm-up show, and then we'll get it over to the pregame show. First pitch is at 6:05. Extra inning post-game show right after it, and I'll be hosting that. Carson Seymour, had a great conversation with him. You want to hear that one. And Ed Lynch, of course, with the Miracle Mets. I want to thank my producer, Jacob Villante. He did a great job. All the phone calls from the San Francisco Giants fans concerned about this team losing today. Let's see if they can turn it around tomorrow and have a better extra inning postgame show with some positive thoughts. For Bill Lasky, have a great rest of the night. Be safe, be well. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.